Right. Well, I mean, this is probably your bit than my bit, but um, I think this is. I'll let you take the lead on this. So you can start the conversations on the unit. So Keeper of Secrets.
Cool. Come on, boys. We're on to the sexy lot. So, Keeper of Secrets. Big fan of the model.
Oh, it's
I
it's the
think
best created demon model, I think.
100%. It's honestly the elegance of the model
Yeah,
is amazing. I
yeah.
don't think they could have done a better job compared to the old metal / Finecast version.
Oh mate, that was so fucking bad
With
with
a
like
glorified demon
with the
prince.
finger gun
Intellect.
pose, and yeah, it was
Yeah.
just it was not good. It was not good. But the new keeper, I just think the keeper is the coolest of all the greater demons, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like just in general.
They definitely hit home with the model, and yeah, lore wise, I think in AOS they've probably done a better job of it, like with
Yeah.
the artwork and stuff,
Oh,
capturing
some of the
how
art is so
amazing
good.
a cool keeper is. So yeah, rules wise, I think well, maybe we can do both the keeper and Shalaxi at the same time here. Actually, I
Yeah.
think they're both relatively similar in terms of their defensive profiles, like for what
So
they offer.
yeah, so obviously the keeper probably outright is a bit more tougher because she's always -1 to hit,
Yeah,
whereas Shalaxi reduces the attacks and combat of one unit by one on all their melee weapons, which is really good.
it
So the
honestly
keeper,
frustrates me the fact that it's only one unit though.
yeah, I wish it was there everything she was in combat with, but or everything that targeted her with their if a melee weapon targeted her, it reduces attacks by one. I think
Yeah,
that would be the best way to do it. But
yeah, yeah.
who am I?
So yeah, the keeper over the regular keeper overall is outright tougher, I'd say, because the
Yeah,
-1
because
agreed
of
on
mine.
that. And
Oh, because I mean, we do have to state because you always take the Aegis on it, right? Because
yes,
you
yeah,
never
yeah,
take the whip, you never take the dagger.
yeah.
Always take the Aegis.
It's so unfortunate that there's only one loadout that's worth taking on this model.
Yeah,
But yeah, that 5-up Pain is just way too good to pass
yeah.
up.
You don't take the others over it.
Her shooting is a mini version of Betraying Shades. It's
Mhm.
3 less shots, so it's honestly decent. And the AP aura is really nice because we'll be getting on to Fiends soon. My favorite, my personal favorite.
We've been building up to that. I think.
And yeah, so I think the keeper's solid, and I think she can offer a lot of utility for the rest of the army, especially with the shadow aura that she has
Yeah,
now.
100%.
Um, and Soul Stealer is not to be slept on. I feel like it's a lot of points to spend on like a backfield sweeper unit, but
Yeah,
305 for a backfield sweeper unit, a monster that you can put onto an objective that has a 14-inch move and just goes, come and take this off me with a small thing, I'll kill it and I'll regain wounds.
yeah,
And I'm OC5, and if you try and take it off me, go for it. Good luck to you, because there's probably something else on it with more OC as well. Um, I just think she's one of the better greater demons right now. Definitely better than the chickens. And
100%, 100%.
I would say I feel like almost all of the greater demons besides the chickens have to go in A tier. So I'm gonna say she's going just below Rotigus in A
Yeah,
tier.
yeah. Because I mean, I agree. I mean, again, we've had these conversations, and I'm actually genuinely toying with taking one to the Sheffield Super Major next weekend, because the thing is, she's got that right amount of toughness that if you just spike your roll slightly, she stays around. The only problem that I have with her is strength 8. I wish she was strength 10, and that would do me. But
Just the
but
sword being strength 10 would be enough.
yeah, I think that's what
That'd
she
be
would need.
lovely.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's all she needs. Apart from that, though, I love the keeper. I think the keeper is in a really good spot. I think the shadow bubbles makes her better. I think Soul Sealer is decent, but I think it's probably the least. I won't say the least valuable, but the least like if you had to make a tier list of the enhancements, that's probably at the bottom.
I would
Um,
say it's the least impactful unless
yeah,
you're really catering your game towards it. And you absolutely can cater your game towards it. You know, someone shoots her, you take a bit of damage, and then you just go bully mode and pick on small
yeah,
things and
yeah,
regain your wounds up.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, bottom of A for me because she's just not quite as good as Rotigus, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Shalaxi, we both love her.
We
And
do.
um, I've recently had to magnetize her spear because her spear snapped.
Oh no, that
Yeah.
fucking thing, and you can't even pin it. It's no, that's a
I
lie.
could
You
have
can
pinned
pin
it.
it because
I could have
I
pinned it. It was a choice between pinning it and magnetizing it, and I chose to magnetize it.
I get that.
Just for the idea that if it does, decide to snap again, I don't have to
Yeah.
do anything with it.
So for me, it's really weird, right? Because when I think about Shalaxi now, because have you seen my Shalaxi?
I have.
Yeah. So for me now, it's really weird seeing the normal
She
Shalaxi
does
model because
this.
mine hasn't left the box. Yeah, because mine's the creature caster Queen of Ecstasy, so she's got all her like metal tentacles and her big butt and all that, and I've actually converted her to have Shalaxi spear, um, but she might be demoted to a keeper soon. But thing is with Shalaxi, I still love her. I still rate her. I don't think there's anything in the game that does what she does. There's nothing in our book that does what she does. Um, I just think in a meta and a mission pack where your scoring units are so important, she just eats. And I think because of the greater demons, you want to try and take as many to synergize with certain things. I feel like she might just eat up a few too many points. I still think she's good. I still think you can take her. I don't think there's I don't like it when people say she's too expensive. Like she's really expensive, and there is definitely a bit of a skill ceiling there because again, if you don't use her right, you've lost a lot of points. But I've had her just take things to the face and single-handedly eat through a quarter or more of my opponent's lists.
Yeah.
Every night game, she eats half. She always kills 1,000 points plus in the night game, every game.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still really good.
I think just for the mech matchups, I think she has to go above Scarbrand and the
I
Bloodthirster for me in
I
tier.
100% agree. People will disagree with that, but I'm on your side. I 100% agree. Obviously, they are. Thing is, Scarbrand you can kind of argue about because of the flat 6 damage. It's really nice, but if he
It's
rolls
just
one,
the reliability with her, honestly. Like the amount of times I have seen either Scarbrand or a Bloodthirster roll ones to hit and wound. And
all the
Shalaxi,
time.
if she does that, you've got the security measure.
Exactly.
Like
Like
it honestly, it's invaluable.
yeah,
Like
it is.
even at 450 points, I see what you mean about the skill ceiling thing. Like I've definitely played games in the past with her where I've lost her too early and I've lost the
Yeah,
game because of it. But we're talking a fairly small number of games here. Against really top tier players, that can absolutely happen to you. You could
yeah,
lose her too quickly, and then you'll lose the game as a result. So she's really glass cannony in that sense to take, but she's also arguably one of the toughest around. Like
yeah,
generally speaking, behind the keeper and Great Unclean One, she's third place. She's the third toughest monster. And that's not a bad spot to be in when you are also the killiest monster.
yes. She is. I would say she's probably the killiest single model in the entire game.
Hmm. She
Um,
levels almost any super heavy thing in the
yeah,
game in a
she
turn.
does. Like I said, obviously 4 up in ones do 4 up in one things, but with her, if you I feel like there's very like I think I said this to you on the weekend. I miss being able to think that needs to die, Shalaxi.
Yeah,
Because then you're just like if it doesn't die, then you know some dice have just hit you in the head.
yeah.
Um but yeah, like she is just such a safety blanket of this really needs to die this turn. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna send Shalaxi after it. And
And
you've got the ability to
this is
just attack.
something weird that I have personally, right? I sometimes forget to use Epic Challenge on my other monsters. Just as it's just a brain fart moment, right? It can
Yeah.
happen to anyone. But the amount of times that I go in with her, and I know that she's for killing characters, so I'm like, right, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to forget to precision out here because I know she's already got it.
You've already got it, yeah.
But I've done it before, and I did it in my Black Templars game. I forgot that I could epic challenge with Scarbrand, and I didn't precision out Grimaldus in a Crusaders.
Oh no.
Oh my god, I'm only killing
Oh
like 5 Crusaders here. Um, but yeah, it's that's one of those things that she can also subtract from your skill level, but she can also add to your skill level in that regard.
yeah,
But just having things built
100%. 100%. Like I Super Major a few months ago, I had her and like talking about Epic Challenge, and I was playing Custodes on Purge. So I was using her and Scarbrand to just keep picking characters out, and they kept
yeah,
giving me kill more just because I was
yeah.
like killing multiple characters, like multi charging and Custodes don't like Shalaxi. They
No,
do not like
they
her.
absolutely hate her.
I hate her, and I hate that matchup. They are my least favorite faction in the entire game. I hate them. I have a really bad record against them. But whenever I'm running her, she seems to always like drag me through it. So
I'm
I
so
agree.
I'm
I still
not
think,
terrified of her.
yeah. I mean, everyone's terrified of her. As soon as you put her down, people are like, okay, what can she like? How
Right,
far?
right.
14-inch move. It's like, okay, can she advance and charge? And before it was, yeah, if I'm in the shadows. Now it's like, yes, for a CP.
Yes.
And then they're like, okay, so what's her threat range? It's like, well, she can move 20 max, and then she has a 12-inch rerollable charge against most things. And then the amount of times your opponent will just like undercook their where they are because of her threat range, and then they can't get to a part of the board like where objectives are because you're using her as like even just as a mental threat. And it's just amazing when your opponent's gone, oh shit, I actually can't reach this objective now till a following turn because of her. And I'm like, yeah, good. And it's just, yeah, she's really good.
Her, Bellacore, and Scarbrand complement each other as a trio so well.
They do.
There's,
I did run
there's
it
a
a
reason
while
that my
ago.
army list is called
Yeah,
Bella, Jacob, and Edward.
good old
The
Twilight.
Twilight Trio.
To be
They
fair,
are the Twilight Trio.
you've been running them as a trio for a long time, since at least LGT, which was last September, right?
LGT, yeah, which I went. That was I could
Five
not believe
and
I
oh.
went 5-0 at that.
Yeah,
Uh,
you jumped me, you bastard, in the ranking.
but yeah, that was a crazy event, and I've been running them as a trio since then. And I've been hesitant to change it because they've
Yeah,
done so well.
they do work. Like I run them with the Fat Boy as a quad, and I really liked it. I ended up dropping Scarbrand, but it does work because the damage that Scarbrand and her put out is actually fucking nuts. It's
Yeah.
actually insane. Like if they get to clash into certain things, there's not much that can take them to the face.
My
So
only caveat for Scarbrand, unfortunately, is the AP1. Like the fact that I
sweet,
draft him,
yeah,
Sweep being AP1, I draft him more often than I should.
yes, I agree. It's annoying, and then I also find the speed kind of kicks him a bit as well. But I mean you can get around it.
Yeah,
Right, the masks. We've had quite a few conversations about her recently. I've been running her,
yeah.
and she's. I really like her. Like, really like her. Like, even just as a really fast piece to just be able to do certain actions like sabotage and recover is really nice. But obviously, you've been running a lot of fiends. I've been running fiends recently, and she actually ups their damage quite a bit. Like that plus on a wound is really good.
Gets you over the Strength 5 barrier, similarly to Bloodletters with a Bloodmaster.
Yeah.
The difference is Bloodletters need those characters to make them good.
Yes.
The difference with a lot of the Slaanesh units is they don't need her to make them good.
No.
So she's kind of that unit that is like a nice bonus to have. And at 85 points, as a lone op as well, she can fulfill other roles for you.
Yeah, but exactly because she advances and forward back and charges.
Mm.
There's nothing that says you can't just advance her up to a small unit. If you draw assassinate, and there's a small character and a small unit on the board, you run her up, charge in with advance and charge, and then charge in, epic challenge, and then you put your +1 to wound on that unit. She's still got 6 attacks at 4/1/2 dev wounds with +1 to wound. Like
Yeah,
she can kill a lot of small characters in the game with that.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, and again for secondaries, there's a lot. I think the lone ops are invaluable right now, and we have 3 really good lone ops. So yeah, I think she's really good. The other really funny thing that I really like her for is if you really need to keep the ground clean one around in a combat matchup, you sit her behind him because you can't see her behind him.
Yes, yes.
The -1 the wound isn't it's obviously the +1 the wound is only for Slaanesh units against that target enemy unit, but that just makes them -1 the wound no matter what they hit.
Mhm.
So it's like cool, you got +1 the wound against something you're normally winning on 6s. Cool, just -1 the wound. Now you're winning it on 6s again.
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
Amazing. Drakari absolutely hate it.
Oh, mate,
Absolutely hate it. Oh, I've got Lance with Incubi. I should
Yeah,
pick up this great.
it's like
Anymore, mate.
it's like the mask goes, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Polly just looked at the ground clean one and went, no, just no, and that was without her. Just, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not
Because
doing
we've done it before, mate. We played each other at Bristol round 1,
Yeah.
and it took so much of his army to take out the Great Unclean
Mhm.
One, and I just went around with Shalaxi and Scarbrand killing the rest of his list.
He did say that he was like, I know how tough he is. Thank you. And I was like, cheers, Byron. Thanks for that. But yeah, so I put her at maybe bottom of A tier, but I really I think the lone op is just really good. So I think that
Yeah.
probably helps her. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I feel like any loan up should be in either A or S tier for us.
Well, I think the loan ups will spoil it, but I think all the loan ups will just go into A tier because of that. But I really rate her, and if you're running a lot of fiends, which I'm toying with the idea of, I
Mhm.
think she's very good to babysit a unit of 6, or even the keeper, because she actually makes the keeper's combat better because she's now wounding those tougher vehicles on 4s, which
Yeah,
is better than 5s.
yeah, for sure.
Um, Syll'esske,
Sad times for you, mate. Sad times for you.
I'm glad.
Unfortunately, you joined Daemonettes, and that automatically makes you worse.
Yeah, like so they do make Daemonettes a bit more palatable, but they're still Daemonettes. And also, I think it's underrated how many points this fucker gives up in one turn. If your opponent draws, bring it down, assassinate, and they can interact in 2 phases,
No
and they
way
draw.
he's a monster. You're joking. Is he a
Yeah,
monster?
yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah. So they kill her in the shooting phase. That's 4 points for assassinate. That's 2 points for bring it down. She stands back up in a 2+. They kill her in the combat phase. That's another 4 points for assassinate and another 2 points for bring it down.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 12 points.
That
And it's
is,
not capped anymore, so it is 12 points.
that is
Like,
insane.
and as you said, like, yeah, it's cool what she does to Daemonettes. I don't like her. I think she's just a bit too.
I feel like if you're running Daemonettes, Syll'esske is the only way to
Yeah,
make them
I
work.
agree. If you're so adamant that you're running Daemonettes, then you probably want to take her. But if
But
you're, I don't think there's much argument to run them, so you don't want her. I don't even think she's good on her own because I just think things like the mask, the changeling, and the blue scribes fit the role of drop down and do things better.
yeah, I
Um,
feel like the lone op and the changeling's battle shock to attack
mhm.
it ability is way better than
Yeah,
the
100%.
combat to life. And it's Syll'eske's is not a tough model, not a super tough, not as tough as you'd expect it to be.
Nope.
Used to be a demon and prince profile, now he's like toughness 6 or something.
Yeah, it's like a weird hybrid. It's not. It's like in between Herald and Demon Prince.
Yeah,
It's basically what an old Demon Prince and Ninth used to be, kind
yeah.
of, right?
So it's not
Um,
really, unfortunately, scaled up to this edition.
no.
I would say ab- above Slimex.
Oh fuck. Okay. I thought you were going to go a little bit higher. I mean, I don't disagree. I just thought you were going to be a bit more generous. So fine.
The reason being is because I think its main role is to buff Daemonettes, and
And Demon
120
Prince
points is
spot.
just an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
Giving up all those potential points for assassinate and bring it down as well hampers it a little bit. Before I'd even thought of that, because it hadn't even occurred to me that it's a monster keyword.
Well,
Before
no,
before I'd thought of that, I was gonna go C tier just behind the Skullmaster before Sloppity, but he instantly, because of that, goes below Sloppity on the
yeah.
other
It's
day.
just if your opponent gets the lucky draw and they're in the wrong position, that's 12 points. That can lose you the game, just like that. 12 points
And
can lose you the game.
like we've talked about, it's not that tough.
Nah, it's not to an army that can dedicate to it. Now,
No,
Tranceweaver again is a character that has a good ability, but attaches to a unit that's just not very good.
and it's expensive for what it is. Like 60
60 points.
points.
Yeah,
60
yeah. The
points is
combat
expensive for what
and,
it is and what it attaches to.
and aren't they're only 1 damage as well? I think.
Yeah.
Like I would expect her to be 2 damage, so that's shit. And she's got another ability that does something with battle shots, and I can never remember. Oh no, it's isn't it? You pick a battle shocked unit at the end of your movement phase or something like that, and you get like reroll wounds into it or something.
Reroll
It's
hits and
really,
wounds.
yeah, it's really fucking weird. Like why in the
Now, if
stupid?
that was in the shooting phase,
No,
all of
if
a
that was
sudden,
in the fight phase, if
yeah,
you did
yeah,
it in the fight phase, fine, because then you would just try and proc it with skull what they called
skull
skull
cannon.
masters or skull cannons
So,
or stuff
yeah,
like that. But yeah, I think there's probably because of how cheap she is, maybe bottom of C. But then I don't
yeah.
know.
I thought we were saying Daemonettes are only worth taking with Syll'esske and probably vice versa, but just because
Yeah,
she's cheaper, she's half the cost of Syll'esske, she could
yeah,
be an option. I feel like there's a
yeah.
niche somewhere where her and 10
Well,
Daemonettes is not that
yeah.
bad.
So fight first allows you to put them on an objective behind a wall, and then if your opponent wants to charge them, at least they'll have a chance to do some damage first.
Yeah,
That's why I kind of put her where she is.
yeah.
I'm taking the lead on this one. I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
I'm putting the above the fortifications because nothing goes below the fortifications. But I generally think it is the worst character we have. Um,
It's
I
borderline the worst character in all of Chaos.
Yep, because 5 up for 1 pen against psychic and mortals is okay until you if it was in if it was in fiends with the changes to mortals to devs, I would actually if you could take a win in a fiend unit, I actually would think okay, do you know what? That's not bad. But no,
It's
not in
another one that I think should be a lone op and should have like an aura effect,
I
similarly to what we were saying about Karanak.
100% agree. It should be a lone up, and it should have that as an aura. 100% it should be a lone up. I don't know how they attach that to Daemonettes. And then
Because there's
it's
two
got
Daemonettes there.
yeah, bullshit. And then it's also got the changeling's ability, right? Except if you roll a 1, you do D3 mortal wounds to their unit.
Yeah,
Stupid.
yeah. Changeling's
It's,
just miles better.
it's just so stupid for 85 points. It's
That model is like 25 to £30,
yeah, I know. It's so
and it's
expensive.
80 points.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. Inferno and Rapturous, I think is worse than the Tranceweaver because it gives you okay. You get the return D3 Daemonettes back, but if your opponent hits Daemonettes and hasn't killed the whole unit, then
They're
I
doing
don't know what's
something wrong.
happened. Yeah, so not worth it. And then what does she make hazardous like psychic weapons within 12 inches of her hazardous?
I think the only reason to take her is similarly
I,
to what we were talking about the Poxbringer, like a
I've
single model action unit
yeah,
that can land somewhere and has a decent gun.
yeah. I have just talked myself down into putting her below Syll'esske, but they're saying that she does have a las cannon, right?
She does
Or
have an
kind
ascendant, yeah,
of. It's funny.
yeah,
So when you could advance and do actions,
yeah,
maybe there was more of an argument for her.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I actually think I'm going to put her below Syll'esske because I do think at least Syll'esske can actually do shit.
yeah. I agree. I agree.
Tormentbringer. I'll let you have your opinion, and I'll have mine.
Um, it's difficult with the chariots in general for me because I don't own any and I've never really used them.
You have no
I
chariots.
have no Slaanesh chariots.
Wow. Okay.
I have the Blood Throne, the Skull Cannon, and I have the Tzeentch ones as well. But I've never owned any Slaanesh ones. Honestly, because I feel like they're just too much of a spindly model for me to look after.
Yeah, they are and they're a pain in the ass to build. They really are a pain in the ass to build.
Rules wise, I think the what's the one that does like mortal wounds? Is it the Hellflayer?
So the Hellflare does mortal wounds on a dice roll and it gets better against infantry every
Yeah,
fight phase. The Seeker Chariot does anti-infantry 4+ when it charges. And the Exalted Chariot, I think when it kills a unit, it forces battle shocks or something like that. Which is
yeah. So I think because of points cost now, the Hellflayer is like completely out of it.
yeah.
So the Hellflayer is just too
So,
expensive.
I mean, we'll get to it in a minute, but the normal chariots, the Seeker is the only one you take. But
Yeah,
this guy, right, the Tormentbringer, it gives you a sustained hits 1 aura, which I think is decent, and then like you pick one of your Slaanesh units within 6 when it gets targeted by attacks in the fight phase, and you get Fart and Death 4+. I wish it was auto, but
yeah.
it's not bad. And if you're taking a lot of fiends, I actually think there is an argument for it.
Yeah, it's a decent little support unit. It's got
Yeah,
a good OC. It's relatively tough. It's another
yeah.
thing with a 4+ in button.
The only problem with it is I wish it was 125, not 140, or 120, not
Yeah.
140. I think 140 is a bit expensive, and obviously you've got the whole maneuver around things, but it
Mm.
is fast. You can drop it down if you want to. I think if you're really taking into the fiends, like a lot of fiends, then I don't you don't have to take it. But fiends love sustained 1, right? That's where you're going to get the most
Absolutely.
bang for your buck from the sustained 1
Yeah.
and the fight on death.
That sustained one just makes sure that even if you have a bad roll, like a
You
below
can
average roll with a squad of
cement it
3,
with
you'll take it over the
exactly.
line.
Exactly. Um, I I I want to say because of the points, it's going to sit in C tier.
Yeah, I think it goes behind Bloodletters.
Yeah, I agreed. If it was about 25 points, 20 to 20, well, about 20 points cheaper, I think you could definitely see it in B. But I think the worst battle line unit,
Yeah, yeah, without
easily.
a question.
Yeah, because
Um,
they want more. They want another 20 points off, I think, and then at 80 points, I think then you look at them.
I reckon 10 would do it just because of the character support, but the character support also needs to get cheaper.
Definitely. They just the thing is, right, at least with the bloodletters, they're a glass cannon. They will die when you target them, but at least they have the ability to just kill something if you roll well. Like, okay, they have dev wounds, demonettes, but they're not gonna wipe anything that's decent.
No.
Um,
So we were talking about Daemonette and Syll'esske, and I think there was an era where I thought about taking them, Daemonette
mhm,
and Syll'esske, but it was just unfortunately a lot of points. 220 is an awful lot, even right
yeah,
now for what they are.
mhm,
But that crits on fives if you can somehow get rerolls to wound on it. But that right there in itself is the issue. Getting
yeah.
that rerolls to wound. And the only source is draft, and you've got to then tech more things into the list for specifically them, and that's just an issue.
Which is then the problem I've already mentioned a couple of times. You're putting too many things, too many eggs in that one basket, and the basket isn't even that good.
No.
Um, and this is my problem. This is why I'm not much of a combo, like smack a load of combos into one thing player. I don't really like doing that anyway, and I think doing it on them is just not worth it.
They're the
Um,
kind of combos that we look at when we're building lists and go, oh, that looks interesting. But when you're putting it into practice, you just
yeah,
remember,
it's just
like, hold on.
it's not
Yeah,
practical.
it's not.
I do think if you're taking if you want to lean very heavy into Slaanesh, I think you could take one unit just for some OC. I don't think I think 100 points make them at least bearable for that. But if you're mixing up your lists, why are you taking these over and just trying to get 10 more points for 10 play bearers? Like, why would you do that? Like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
am I wrong? I'm not wrong, am I?
No,
Like, why?
you're right. Like we would talk about it earlier. You would just have plate bearers. How is there
Exactly,
only a 10 point difference between the two squads?
exactly. Um, I feel like they go above.
Yeah,
I think the Skullmaster is still better than them because of what he offers. The
yeah,
the Bloodcrushers, right?
yeah.
Um, okay, right. Have your time in the sun and go for it.
Straight in S tier. I'm not.
No,
No.
no, it's not making that happen. We're not
Franco,
doing.
I'm not joking, mate.
We're not doing. I love
Okay,
them. I was running
okay.
them at 130. I love them as well, but they are not going in S tier. Not until I win an event with my 12 list.
Okay. So my biggest argument with these guys has always been when you don't have your monster mash in an army, where's your damage coming from?
Mhm.
And you genuinely need units aside from Bloodcrushers. Like Bloodcrushers, we talked about it, the impact is great. But these guys just give you that reliable combat hit where you can send three of them into a squad of five Marines and just go, you're dead. Or at least they should die. Um, I've definitely have games where that's not been the case and they've been slightly unlucky, and
Mhm.
that just ends up being down to dice rolls. But generally speaking, they are probably our best damage dealer aside from monsters. So I would look at them all the time now at 105 and just go, you're a steal, you're a steal.
Yeah.
I've been a big advocate for them since they were 130 points, but not as
Mhm.
many, of course. Like 130 is an awful lot. I was only taking maximum 2 units at the time, but majority of the time one.
Yeah.
When they went down to 120, I was still only taking one. But now at 105, um, I really want to make a case for them to be S tier, but they're A, but they're.
Agreed. Agreed.
I feel like they will see play more often than a keeper now.
Agreed.
So I think
I
they're
think
just behind Rotigus.
I think that's a good spot for them. I was taking 9 at 130 when I was
Mm.
testing out, and my gripe with them was I'm I like them, but you felt bad if you were ever using them to do like actions because the points. So
It's
when they
still
went
the
down to,
issue. That's still fundamentally the same problem, but just
yeah, I mean,
at
but it feels
105,
less,
you
it
don't
feels
feel
less
as
bad.
bad.
But I feel like I genuinely so they started at 150, right? So they've dropped down 45 points in a year, and I do genuinely think it is the best points. Well, aside from plague bearers and ground clean ones, I think it's probably up there as some of the best points drops over the edition for us.
Did they really start the
Um,
edition at 150? I thought they started at 130.
no, they were 150.
Oh my god.
They were 50 points each, and it was bullshit.
Yeah.
They are so they are what, in my opinion, they are what Bloodcrushers want to be,
Mm.
right? Because okay, they're not as tough, but the -1 to hit is actually really nice. The -1 to hit aura, like the good thing about their -1 to hit aura, unlike the Nurglings, is it also affects monsters, so that's really good. So with the Fiends, I think they fulfill a role nothing else does, and that's a unit that can do damage and go through walls at the same time.
Yeah.
Their bases are annoying, and you've got to really be careful with the rotation. But if you get used to how you position their bases, that's fine. It's just
Yeah.
practice, get muscle memory on it.
Yeah.
Um, I do generally think outside of the monsters, I would arguably say they're the play bearers I think above them, but I think outside of play bearers, they're probably the best non-monster unit we have.
Yeah.
You obviously agree because you fucking love them, but
100%.
but I love them as well. I was waiting for any excuse. Like I said, I took 9 at 130 each for 3, because I really wanted to make them work, and I liked them. They were just a bit too expensive. But at 105, like my list going to Hertfordshire had none in until like the day before, where I just went, nah, I'm taking 6 of them, and I do not regret it. And now, like I said, like as well, I'm now looking at a unit of 6 because I do think a 6-man unit can really do work. And I am looking at a unit, 2 units of 6, but I don't know if I really want to do that. I think I might just go back down to 1 unit of 6, 2 units of 3 for now, and have the mask babysit the unit of 6, because that unit of 6 will generally, it can do a lot of work, especially plus on the wound.
I think once we've tested some terrain layouts and stuff, then that will certify like how many of them we take, because a unit of 6 has got a very big footprint.
That's the problem, and it's getting them through walls and stuff like that, and they are counterable, and it is the thing that keeps making me and ah it. But I do think 3x3 is 100% a viable strategy, and I think it will be fairly common eventually, if not already.
On my list, taking Shalaxi, Bellacore, and Scarbrand in it as well, and Great Unclean One, meant that I was taking 3 units of 3 just trying to out damage things.
But
And
the speed and threat that your list has is
yeah,
actually, it's scary.
yeah,
It's really scary.
It's super oppressive when you have 3 squads of them plus the monsters,
Yeah.
and people just don't want to go anywhere near it. And when you have them as the backup threat, people don't even want to put like rubbish chaff units forward to take these off things, because Fiends will just go, yeah, we'll hit you and kill you.
And I actually think that's where the Fiends excel most. Like, they're very good at going onto an objective and killing most of it to contest it or stop your opponent scoring primary. But they're actually really good because you really need to kill your opponent scoring units now more than ever. And I feel like they are really good at doing that.
Yeah.
Like
your opponent's going to come in, they're going to score for a turn with their units, and then Fiends go blats.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, there's no reason, like, Fiends should be killing a lot of middleweight to light units. And can also tangle with those slightly heavier units, because the dev wounds just skew the maths a bit, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Even into big things, that the dev wounds again help into the bigger things.
And similarly to the Flesh Hounds, they fulfill quite a nice move blocking role. They can do if you need them to. Like a 105, similar kind of thing. Like a 105,
you don't want them
bad.
to.
You don't want them to, but with them only being
can.
105, if you're in an emergency situation where your monsters need to be protected, you don't feel bad sacrificing a 105 unit.
No, not especially if it's stopping things like, say, if you're playing against guard and you really need to stop this 1 or 2 Rogue Dawns from being able to get to an 18-inch position away from, say, Shalaxi, because she's within 6 of Bellacore, using them to just charge and kind of just block them in.
Yeah.
Because they've got the speed and the bigger bases. Like, yeah, I mean, if you want to block multiple angles, because I think 1 unit of dogs maybe is all you want to take, really. So 1 unit of dogs and 1 unit of them doing it at 105 it's not terrible. You don't want to do it, but if you're taking 3 units, and
it's the kind of thing that if you're forced to, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Seekers, I like Seekers.
Same. I want to big up one of my teammates, Lawrence Elliott, who's actually been a big advocate for these guys. He kind of changed my mind on them, actually, because of the scout move. I'm not a huge fan of the models. I think they're just too old.
I agree, especially when you look at the Sigma
AOS Seekers, right?
Yeah, they've got the new ones that they have, like the archer dudes on there or other dudes, and them seekers are just so cool. They're
They
so
are
cool.
huge though. They're like Fiend
They're
size.
yeah, I know they're massive, but
Yeah,
they look really cool.
they do.
So yes, the seeker models definitely need an upgrade, but I think because they're the only thing we have with scout. Nothing else has scout, right?
Yeah, they are the only thing with Scout.
And they scout
Um,
9,
they Scout
um,
9 and they move 14,
and they
and I think they can
re-roll
reroll their
advances as
advances and
well.
charges,
Yeah.
which is quite nice.
You can always proc warp surge should you need to for the advance and charge.
Yeah,
Just bit they have the ability to, like, again against guard or certain armies to just hem them in and let you build up your positions and get yourself in a good position, and they just stop your opponent from being able to do anything, which is really
yeah,
nice.
for sure. I see them fulfilling a similar role to a 6-man squad of Nurglings.
Yep,
The difference being that the 6-man squad of Nurglings give the enemy -1 to hit. They've got more wounds between them, so they're a bit tougher. And they do it straight off an infiltrate rather than having to rely on a scout move.
yep, and then going first as well, and
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So the Nurglings, even if the opponent goes first, they can pen you in.
yeah,
The scout move, not so much. It's a 9-inch scout. You really have to put them on the deployment line to stop
yeah,
the enemy and really push them back.
mm-hmm.
So I think that does downgrade them a little bit compared to Nurglings, but they have OC, which is very important.
Yes, so they can still do
Getting
air
scout
actions.
move plus getting OC and getting them in range of Bellicor for Wreathed in Shades,
Yeah,
getting a shadow potentially turn 1, they can be really useful for that.
100% agree. So somewhere in B tier.
Yes, yeah, I would say. I think between Epidemius and Scrivener is probably right.
Not better than the Scrivener, no.
I
I
don't
feel
think.
like no. Okay,
No,
I
I
mean
don't think so.
the Scrivener has the ability to buff one of the best units we have. So
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. But I do like them for everything you said. Um, right, I feel like we can do these three in one go.
yeah,
So yeah, I do want to bring up one thing, right? So all three of them have your typical Slaanesh claw attack, which is in their case strength 4 -1, 1 damage, dev wounds. Except, have you ever looked at the Hellflare's profile, the actual card?
yeah. It's not got dev wounds or something, isn't it?
No, it's got dev wounds, but their
Okay.
slashing claws have no AP.
Oh yeah, I knew there was
Yeah,
something. I knew there
yeah.
was something.
So
That's
every
mad.
other slashing clause, every other Daemonette clause in the index has a -1 except for theirs. So, and it's never been fixed. So um technically you cannot use them as having AP. It's a good thing that they're way too expensive, so you're not taking them.
Mhm,
But I think Seeker Chariots have a place
mhm,
for 65 points. They move really fast. They move 14. They've got the Bloodthirster base, so you can use them to block, which is nice. And they get anti infantry 4+ on the charge, and 9 of those attacks have dev wounds.
mhm.
So they can definitely bully like small units, small infantry units, or
Yeah,
take a bit of a chunk out of a slightly bigger infantry unit. They're not going to do loads of damage, but they're not bad. The Hellflare does mortals every turn, and it gets +2 to the roll. Like you could do, is it D3 3 or D3+3 or something like that?
it's just too expensive.
Um, huh?
It's just too expensive.
Yeah, it's 105 points.
Yeah,
It wants like a 30-point drop. I don't think it should be more than 10 points more than the Seeker. I don't know why it's so much more than the Seeker Chariot. Um,
it's just how much they value mortal wounds at, mate. That's all.
Still not worth it.
Yeah.
And then the Exalted is what, 115, and it's right. Granted, the Exalted Seeker Chariot's profile is quite funny, right? Because it's got all the attacks, and it's quite tough, and it's OC 5, I think.
4 or 5.
Um, I think it's 5, so
Mm.
that's not bad. But again, it's 115, and you're not taking it 115. So
I
I
don't think
feel
you're taking it ahead of the Tormentbringer.
no, 100% not. So I feel like the Seeker Chariot wants to sit like bottom B,
Yeah,
and then I feel like the other two want to sit like bottom of C.
I would say Health Layer D. I would say the Health Layer is below Syll'esske personally.
Yeah, okay. I mean, no AP on the claws.
No AP on the claws, and the points cost is ridiculous for what it is. Like,
Yeah,
just when you look at it defensively, it should not be that weak.
And the only reason I want to put the Exalted in bottom of C is because the OC and the actual toughness of it, it's actually got some kind of play.
Yeah, it's got some fundamentals about it.
Yeah, it's too expensive, but at least if you were to take it, it's not like the health layer where it's just not going to do nothing. At least you can use it to be annoying.
115 point model for OC5 is not too bad.
It's not
With a
too
4
bad.
up gun as well.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and it's got a lot of wounds. So right, we're getting to the home stretch. We got Tzeentch, which is both of our favorites, right? And
Yeah.
for me, when I started demons, I dabbled with everything, but I had a lot of Tzeentch. Like my three first model kits was old Be'lakor, who at that point was just a demon. You couldn't use him as Be'lakor back then, but was old Be'lakor, old mini Fate Weaver, and the old pink horrors that looked they were blue horrors coming out of the pink horrors. So
We've almost got matched kits. We've almost matched kits exactly.
oh, what did you not have? Be'lakor.
So no. I had old Be'lakor. Old Be'lakor and old Fate Weaver were my first two demon kits.
Right.
The third one, sorry, no, this was the first one actually. The old changeling, and I still use him. You've seen him.
I have seen him. Yeah. To be fair, I actually really like the old. I've got him somewhere. He sits somewhere in a box in my room. But
Yeah,
yeah, I actually really like the old changeling kit. I have a thing for hooded like silhouettes. Like I've always loved I like the Grim Reaper, and then any kind of like character with a big hood where you can't see their face. Like I have a big thing for like the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings. I always love that aesthetic. So
yeah,
the changeling's always been quite aesthetically pleasing for me, and that model, even though the new one does it as well, the old one kind of has a really fantastical look to it, which I really like.
yeah,
It's just a shame he's like less than half the fucking size of the new one.
yeah. I've
Uh,
really had to put him on a lot of cork and
yeah,
raise him up.
the new one is massive
Yeah,
compared to him. But so we both love our Tzeentch, which means we're both probably a little bit sad right now because I do think Tzeentch is by far the worst of the four gods, and it's not even close.
sweet.
Yeah, so we got the chicken, obviously with the Everstave, because without the Everstave, you don't take it. I don't think anymore, and that's big because I used to take an Everstave and a no Everstave one at the beginning of the edition. I think without the Everstave, you don't take it anymore. I like. Do you agree with that? I think
Yeah,
it's
100%,
yeah.
100%. I think it's just you need the monsters to be able to kill big things because nothing else in the army can.
Mhm.
And if he's spending 280, 285 points, whatever he is, on that, he's
Two
going
two
to
eighty
get
five with the 285 with the Everstave,
260 without.
260 without it, which is
260
too
is just too much for
for
what
what
he is without the other stuff.
for 18 and 12. My problem is that they don't have any kind of dev wounds, mortal wound source for something that's very psychic heavy. And I know psychic's different now, but
Mm.
you would like, for example, like Grey Knight Librarians or Thousand Suns. I want him to have like a psychic ability where he can just put mortal wounds out. I feel
Yeah,
like that's not too much to ask for.
yeah.
Well, apparently it is, but so
You see
I
his
think
ability that he can pick with Bolt of Change. I genuinely think they could have given him modified versions of all of those
yeah,
and basically just gone, he has all of that and he wouldn't be out of place. Like,
no, yeah,
give him
I agree. Like
Prestige One
you
built
could
in,
just
give him Ignores Cover built in, and he'd be
yeah.
better.
Yeah, I think ignores cover is fine, and then some form of death wounds would make him better. I
I
also
think if
don't
you
like.
could choose between like lethal hits and dev wounds, that would probably be the choice to make, and just give him
Yeah,
like Ignores Cover and Sustained One all the time.
yeah, and then I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something, and it's completely slipped my mind. But yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know. And then obviously the combat is crap. His combat is so shit. But um, I think he's the only like of the great demon, the generic great demons that sits outside of A tier.
Hmm.
Well, I think he sits in B tier.
Hmm.
The Everstave keeps him higher in B tier, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um,
Without the Everstave, he's not in B tier,
no,
but
I think without the Everstave, I think because that's what I was going to say. Range, he's only 18 and 12 without the
yeah.
Everstave, which is really bad. Um, so I think,
At that point, you just have Shalaxi instead.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I think he sits maybe there because of the Everstave.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Agree?
that makes sense. I think the Nurglings just give us with the infiltrate and move blocking. That's too
They're
much
just
utility.
they're too much utility. Then we got Mister Two Headed, old Mister Birdie Boy.
Oh
Um,
dear. My
so
friend, my greatest
everyone,
friend.
yeah, I mean, I remember you used to really harp on about him. I this edition I've never liked him. I've taken him, and on paper he seems good. In practice, he never fulfills it. There is a there is an argument because of what is it? Lord of the Sea? Is that the aura now? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, yeah. The
Um,
12-inch
the
plus one
vector,
CP to
the vector aura, and because it
yeah.
affects everything, there is an argument if you're playing into a lot of like combat heavy armies. But then, do you want him that close to that kind of stuff? Probably not.
He's not
Um,
tough enough to survive
no.
it.
And his indirect is obviously a lot worse now
If it
because it
was
only
flat 3 damage, there's an argument for him.
yeah, I agree. The D3 damage is shit.
Yeah,
And again, it's another problem with the Lord of Change as well.
yeah,
His CPU thing is okay. Like you can give him +1 AP if you want to, and then you might get it back.
yeah.
I I I think he's worse than the Everstave chicken, in my opinion.
He's definitely worse than the Everstave chicken. I wouldn't say he's
He's
worse.
better than the normal chicken, 100%. But
Yeah,
he's
he's
worse
better
than
than a normal one without the Everstave. So I would say I don't think he's better than Fleshhounds.
no, I
Um,
agree.
I
I
don't
agree.
think he's. I don't think he's better than a lot of things in that tier, to be honest. I would put him behind the Beast
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
because he's just 270. It's an awful lot of points for what he is,
Yeah,
and his output is just not there. Like
no,
his combat is better than a regular chicken, but by how much? Still
two
hits.
two D3 damage, which
Yeah,
is funny. Um, it's so sad because they are my obviously the great demons of my favorite god and your favorite god, and it's just really sad because I like my shooting chickens or my damage output chickens, and they're just not feeling it.
the
Um,
amount that I used to harp on about him last edition. Do you remember I used to say to you
always,
because
yeah,
he's better
always.
than the regular chicken because of the
Mhm.
flexibility? And what did they do this edition? They took away all that flexibility.
Yep.
They gave him one shooting attack. And I
So
remember complaining about it to my teammates, and they were like, "Oh no, it's an indirect shooting attack. It's not that bad. It's like just you
it's
waste."
okay. The thing is when they announced that psychic phase was going away, my first inkling was the chickens are going to be a lot worse.
Yeah,
And at the beginning of the edition, I was taking an Everstave and a normal one, and they were working quite well. But to be honest, looking back on it, I actually feel like the non-Everstave one was actually taking up a spot that could have been used elsewhere.
mm-hmm.
Um, and now we're a year into the edition. I think they are really suffering with the no psychic phase thing anymore. Like I think they are.
100%.
That was the
Kairos especially is suffering
yeah,
from that.
yeah, because the whole point was he did everything Zinchi, right?
Yeah.
And so he just doesn't do it anymore. So I know they can't bring the psychic phase back, but I just wish they had. I don't know, like
Like
some
all
kind
the
of
stuff he used to have on a regular chicken. Does he cast an extra spell? No.
no,
Does he have better shooting? No.
no.
Does he have better combat? Slightly, yes, great. It's
But
a
that
team builder, you don't
they
care.
don't. No, you don't put them in combat. Why you like
He's got two
that's
extra wounds.
woo? Yes, which makes him more bring it down points, right?
Yeah, yeah, makes
So
him 6, takes him over the threshold.
so yeah, no, it's sad. The next two ones are going to be exciting, right? So, I mean, we know they're both going in A tier. We can do them slightly together, right? So, obviously, the changeling outright is better than the blue scribes. That's
Mhm.
obvious because of he's got stealth. You have to battle shock to target him. And do you know how many times I've had people like earlier on in the edition when people would charge me on the backfield and fail that battle shock test at -1 and then couldn't do anything? And I'm like, it's like, cool, you can't hit me. You're stuck in combat, and I'm still going to hold the point, like in my command phase. Brilliant. Um, Also, he's because you did run him last weekend, right?
I've always ran him.
Yeah. So I dropped him because I thought I like to save the points, but
Mm.
his flamer is actually really good as well.
Brilliant.
I know you had some really good uses with it last weekend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just finishing things off. In the Demon Mirror, Scarbrand had 3 wounds left, and he finished him off. Um,
Really good.
in against Orcs, there was a Morkanaut on 3 wounds that was in combat with Scarbrand. Scarbrand failed to kill it, left it on 3 wounds, and then the Changeling just walked along and finished it off.
Brilliant.
And he's just been really good. Like even just clearing up units on his own. I've had times
Yeah.
against Space Marine armies when Inceptors were like really top tier, They deep strike 3 inches on your home objective. Yeah, cool. Come near me. I'm going to overwatch you and probably kill one or two. Then you're going to have to take a battle shock to shoot me. And
And
I
then I
might
might stop you from shooting.
roll a 6 and stop you from shooting anyway.
One of my favourite moments of 10th edition was right at the beginning. I was at one of the London Opens, and I ended up pairing into my mate who runs Grey Knights. And I had him on the backfield, and he dropped his, is it Purgation Squad? Is that the famous squad?
Purifies.
Purifiers. What? Yeah. So he dropped them.
Was
And
there
he was
like a
like,
10-man that have like
yeah,
anti-infantry shooting?
with Crow, and you know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
that
That's
whole
Purifies.
early what they used to do at the beginning of the edition.
Yeah.
And he dropped it, and I'm like, he's like, cool. The changeling isn't going to survive this. My battle shock's really good, and so okay, cool. Like, let me roll my dice. 6. And he was like, oh, what does that mean? I was like, can't shoot. And he was like, no, what does it mean? I'm like, they can't shoot. It was like, oh, it's a good thing we were really close mates, because he actually had a bit of a rage moment. He was like, this is a really expensive unit. I can't even use them. Like, yeah, get over it. Like,
Sorry,
I was
mate.
like, the changeling should be the most trolly model in the entire game. That's what he does. He does that for a living, right? If you've ever read the lore of the changeling, like, one of my favorite bits of lore ever was he went, I can't remember which way it was around, but he went into either Khorne's realm disguised as a Slaanesh demon, or Slaanesh realm disguised as a Khorne demon, caused loads of shit, and caused a war that lasted thousands of years between Khorne and Slaanesh in the warp, as he sat there with popcorn watching it happen. And it's just brilliant.
That's why he's Tzeentch's favourite. He
Yeah,
just came back to Tzeentch and was went, mate, I just
yeah.
wreaked havoc in there.
Tzeentch loves him because he just does all the shit, and Tzeentch goes,
Yeah.
you're a good boy. So yeah, the changing is great. And then the blue scribes, I like the blue scribes. They're a speedy lone up. They got their 12-inch move, and then they do some mortals if you get close to them, or they get close to you, which is underrated. I think it's not bad. Obviously, they're less tanky than than the changing, but the speed, I think, really helps them. Like, scoring things like recover or sabotage or whatever. What other ones are there?
Established
Like,
locus.
yeah, and or even terraform as well. Like, they're just really good to move forward, do those things that you need to last until like the next turn, because again your opponent has to then get within 12.
Guarding objectives.
Yeah, so yeah, guarding objectives, they're really good for just doing that. And for 75 points, I think they're pretty good. The changeling is obviously outright better, but also the blue scribes is just really good.
Yeah.
Like, for being a lone, I think all the lone ups are good. So changeling, I think, sits above the mask, right?
Yeah, the argument for me would be whether it's better than the keeper. Point for point.
Point for point, probably.
Yeah.
Point for point, more than likely.
Yeah. Just because of how deceptively tough he can be.
Yeah, because it's so many layers to get through him, because he might stop you from shooting. If not, he makes you -1 to hit, and then you have to take a battle shock, and then he's still stealth with a 4-up invuln. Like, there's so many layers to get through just to kill him, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
And being lone up, they're not going to get a lot of things into killing him. And even against combat armies, if they get him in the shadows, they might not be able to hit him, because he just goes, battle shock.
Exactly. Yeah. One thing I like doing with him a lot is keeping him on my home point and just going, right, try and take me off it.
Yeah, he's really good for that. That's kind of his job. And then the blue scribes, and this is why I think I like the blue scribes, because you don't really want to do that with the blue scribes. I like pushing them forwards, and doing my early actions.
Yeah,
and they probably sit below the mask, just because the mask can actually have bigger impact on the game overall.
Yeah, synergizes better with the rest of your units.
Exactly. Okay, I got myself confused there. I'm gonna do change caster. I don't rate that highly.
No.
The battle shock proc is okay when it shoots something, and it gives pink horrors or blue horrors sustained hits. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My issue with the battle shock thing, it would be a really good unit if it worked on everything. It would basically be a cheap skull cannon if it worked on everything. The fact that it only works on infantry just massively downgrades him.
Is it only on infantry?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I remember checking it, and
the first time we're checking something, we've been pretty good overall. But I just, not that I discredit you. I don't. I just want to check. To be fair, I've barely looked at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's shit. He's yeah, no, I don't like that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I generally don't think he's good. I don't think is good.
Sustained hits is not something you need to give to pink
No,
horrors.
pink horror shooting isn't good enough to warrant it.
Yeah.
So no, I think down there.
Fluxmaster, on the other hand, the next one.
Oh, Fluxmaster is a whole different story, right? So it's got the same shooting attack, which if we let's look at the focus profile because that's what you're going to be doing. So it's 3 shots to hit on 3s. It's strength 6 minus 2 d3 damage.
Yeah,
I think that's
and
right.
death wounds.
And death wounds. And then it also has a once per battle round fate dice that it can use on 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, or 1 saving throw.
Yeah.
Right? So you roll your 3 dice, say you hit twice, you might grab a dev wound on a wound roll, and then you just turn the other one into a 6, or you just turn one into a 6 anyway. And you have a good chance to get 2d3 devs, which is really good. Especially if you're taking multiple of them. Like, I think that's really nice. And also just taking them on their own, like a cheaper blue scribes, dropping them down with that 4-up invuln. If your opponent doesn't dedicate enough to them, and you know you're going to survive most, and they get one more wound through that's going to kill it, you just turn it to a 6, and they could survive.
Yeah.
And especially for recover assets and stuff. Obviously, it's not a lone op, but it's annoying. But I think its best use is the dev wounds, right?
Like, the fact that it's only 60 points as well. What we were talking about using the little Nurgle characters for, using them to do actions and stuff. If you can spend the extra 5 points and afford one of them, you'd always do it.
And also, if you do want to attach it to pink horrors, -1 to hit, which is
makes
really
it tougher. Like,
really good. That's the difference on pink horrors. Like, there are some things that might just get rid of all of them before they can split. But that -1 to hit can skew that and just stop it. Also, I just want to mention this because I saw an interesting thing on the Chaos Daemon group today. So someone asked a question: if they had a change cast for the Fluxmaster in the unit, and they did enough wounds to kill the pink horrors, but not the Fluxmaster. They were asking, can it split? And I just want to clear that up to say no, because as soon as the last pink horror dies, Fluxmaster or Changecaster is their own model, right?
Yeah.
So their own unit, sorry. So that's something to remember when you're thinking about the splits. But yeah, I like him. I really rate him. I think he's a cool little utility piece. The dev wounds is really nice, especially if you want to soften something up before you go in with something else. It's
yeah,
not
for
bad.
sure. And like we were talking about with the changeling, it's good for just finishing something off as well.
Yeah,
equally to softening up.
So I think he's better than a lot of change. Maybe not the Everstave lot of change. But
no,
he's better than the green characters, I think.
Yeah, just for the fact that bloodletters shouldn't get taken as much.
Yeah, I mean, Skulltech is good on his own, but I think this dude, because pink horrors I still think are decent, if maybe a little bit expensive, but I still think they're decent, so he makes them better. And then also you can run him on his own if you really want to. He's Fate Dice, once per battle round, Fate Dice is good on like the Dev Wound stuff or just whatever.
And it's also a 60-point model, so you don't mind doing that action.
Yeah, it's cheap. Obviously the assassination tax comes into it, but you build your list to complement it, I guess.
It's the same with half of the things that we've got in S, A, and B.
Yeah, exactly.
Tax comes in.
Exactly.
What can we do? That's just the codex we have.
It is. It's just the way it is. Fate Skimmer, he got cheaper.
Yep.
It's probably the only good thing I can say about it. It's got uppy downy, except it's uppy downy only works once per game, and it's only strategic reserves.
It's dumb.
It's so stupid. Do you remember when these guys were like? I remember taking triple of these guys.
Yeah.
2 to 3 of them last edition because they were so good. They're not good. And the best part about it is they attach to a unit of screamers that now he can't move through walls, so they're fucked.
Yeah. So you're taking 6 screamers plus him just to give the screamers lethal hits.
And screamers we'll get to in a bit. That is not what you want screamers doing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, and yeah, no.
Especially not when you're averaging like 3 lethal hits out of a squad.
It's not. They're so bad. I think down there in D tier, right?
Yeah.
I think the Hellflare at least can do something. I actually want to put it below. I think that's insulting to say that it's worse than Slimux.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely think it's worse than Karanak as well.
Do you reckon? How many points is it?
95 now?
95
now? I want to say it's 95 now.
I think maybe for the 4-up invuln it goes above Karanak.
Okay, but you're still not taking it.
No,
Exalted Flamer.
love
Well,
hate relationship with this man.
yeah, I don't know. Again, amazing last edition. Okay, this edition. It's got like a little las cannon. It's not even a little las cannon anymore.
No.
It's got a 2d6 heavy flamer, and it gives your flamers assault. Like again, like we just said with the screamers, that's not what you want your flamers doing.
No, so at the start of the edition, at LGT, I ran 2 squads of 6 flamers, and I was
Yeah.
actually using them for damage. But that was when I didn't have the chicken in the list actually, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of good damage worth the points besides squads of 6 flamers.
Yeah.
And they were also just hard to remove bricks in certain places. So in that context, I think a squad of 6 flamers, exotic flamer might be worth it. However, like you said, that's not what we use flamers for anymore. We've got better units to do damage, so unfortunately, the exotic flamer is probably ending up in D here.
And also assassination tax. It takes up a valuable spot, and it's just not worth to take it.
It's a character model that shouldn't be a character, in my opinion. Like
I agree.
similarly to like lictors. You know how lictors aren't
Yeah,
characters. It's
yeah, I agree. I actually think they would be cool in that spot. Even if you don't like, they can't attach to the flamer units anymore. That's fine. But maybe they have like an aura that affects flamers or something.
yeah,
But like lictors, where they're their own unit, I think that would be fine. But
yeah. I think GW may be just worried about giving us too many lone ops if they made them a lone op as well.
yeah, I agree. But then, yeah, okay. I mean,
There's other
I mean,
stuff that we've talked about, like the mirror, the contorted epitome could be a lone op, Karanat could be a lone
yes,
op.
why not? Exalted Flamer. Yeah, we have so many things that could be loan ups, but we've already got 3 good loan ups. So
Yeah.
Pink Horrors. So I asked me in Leviathan, I rated these guys really highly. I still think they're good. I just think that their points maybe are a bit more exposed now. But I still really like them. I would argue bottom of A, top of B.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 140 is just because we're seeing the other battle line take more drops, and obviously a 30-point gap between them and Plague Bearers just isn't like Plague Bearers laugh.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they do different things, right? So
Yeah.
against that, like standard, like things that people want to fire into infantry, Plague Bearers are better into, but that higher damage stuff, obviously, Pink Horrors laugh at. And Pink Horrors can be an absolute evil tar pit. I've had them win me games by just refusing to die on objectives or holding things in combat.
Yeah.
I remember having the Nightbringer swing into a unit, like sweep into a unit of horrors, leave 1, and then like 7 of them split. And it was
Wow.
just like, yeah, it's nuts. So like they are really good, but I think their points cost holds them back a bit.
Yeah.
And I just think Plague Bearers are better. But I want to argue bottom of A, maybe top of B. But I'll let you break the tie on it. I'll let you say what you want to say on them.
I agree with everything you said. I just look at the other units that we've got around there, and point for point, I still think 3 Bloodcrushers are arguably better as like a small utility unit that's relatively tough with a 4+ in 1. I feel like 3 Bloodcrushers are better, but like you say, when you get that thing that attacks them that doesn't kill them all, they are ridiculously good. So I'm going to agree and say top of B.
Okay. Yeah, like when they get to do that, when they don't get the split, it feels bad, and then obviously they're just a T3 unit.
Yeah.
But when they do get the split, and they do actually split, that's when you really feel their power, and they are one of those units that actually is a feels bad unit, because you can see on your opponent's face when they do their thing, your opponent just go, what the fuck, like, what the fuck, and then even better when they're battle shocking and they're getting Pink Horrors back.
Yeah.
I had this poor Death Guard guy. He wasn't the great. He was okay, but he wasn't the best player in the world. And I had a unit sitting on an objective, and he wanted to just try and clear them so like he could charge some Terminators into them. But what he didn't realize was, so he was shooting into them with the Plagueburst mortar. He killed a couple. I pulled from the front. I then split at the back, and then battle shots because they cause a battle shock at +1. Got D3 pinks back, and then put them at the back. So I just kept moving back so the charge was bigger. And the poor guy should have looked at it there and thought, okay, maybe I don't do that again. Now he did it again, and the same thing happened. And he was like, and then on the third one, he was like, no, I'm not doing that again. I'm like, yeah, you're a plague burst caller too late on that one, but
Yeah,
yeah,
a turn too late.
yeah. So like they are, I feel like into the lesser good opponents, they're actually really horrible when you don't know how to target into them. But there are some armies that can deal with them. Um, but then I think a unit with a Fluxmaster is actually quite nice. So
Yeah,
yeah, uh, blue horrors.
blue horrors. Oh,
They
what to
want
do with you?
they want
I
point
do
drop.
like the infiltrate. They really want a point
I
drop.
like the infiltrate and I like the mini split and I like blowing up brimstones because that's funny.
Yeah.
Um, but 125 points, I just don't see it. I really don't get it. I want to see
Um,
them a lot less than that.
they are nerdlings with an OC. That's probably the nicest compliment I can give them.
And
But
for a
they're
good one.
125 points.
Yeah, they're not worth that. I want to see them at 100 points. I think 100 points would be fine. 125, I think, is too much.
A 125 compared to what pinks are, they're just nowhere near. So
Yeah, for
I
15
would
points cheaper, it's nothing.
say probably just below Daemonettes.
Yeah, I feel
There's
like
no
they're
need to
better.
put them above
I
Demon.
feel like I feel like they're better than Daemonette just because of the 4+ in one and the split and
Yeah,
the infiltrate. Because again, if you want to just have something in the middle that can infiltrate to do your actions early, obviously Nurglings can't do it anymore. But I still don't think you take the point because of the points. But I do think they are better than Daemonettes.
yeah, they're tougher, and I feel like we've talked about how much damage dealing potential there is in the higher tiers. Like
Yeah,
Demonettes aren't really something that you need in a list anymore, unfortunately, because you've got so much damage dealing with everyone else.
exactly. Right. So we're getting to probably the two best. So I like to categorize your scoring units as your 60 to 80 point units that have a bit of speed and do actions, right?
Mm,
And I feel like the next two are the two best options at that.
for
Because of
sure.
their footprint, they've got the small footprint. They've both got a bit of speed to them. Obviously, flamers aren't as fast as say hounds or screamers,
Mm-hmm.
but also they got a nice footprint to drop in, and they've got some Overwatch threat into the right matchups. And fall back and shoot means you
Fall
can't
back and shoot.
tag them. Exactly, it's less valuable now, but it's still nice. And obviously, screamers. I'm a massive fan of screamers. I said to you on the weekend, like I still haven't put a third unit in yet, but I really like them. I had so again, anytime I have a unit that performs against custodians, they instantly win my heart. And I had one unit of 3 screamers. They got charged by a bike captain. The bike captain only took 2 wounds off of one of them. They then proceeded to kill him, and then they got charged by the other bike. The 2 bikes that are on their own. They killed the guy that was on 2 wounds, and then those 2 guys proceeded to kill those 2 bikers. Or they killed one. They killed one and knocked one to 2 wounds, and then finished them off the next turn.
Yeah.
And okay, yes, rolling helped there, but still, they were really good. They're like a really like obviously they hit on 4s, which is their drawback. But when they hit, 622 is a really good profile.
Having 622 in the first place, they're just honestly so good. And their toughness profile, the number of wounds, the invuln being better than all the other speedy stuff.
And 14-inch move with circular fly bases.
Yeah.
They are the perfect scoring unit for 75 points.
Yeah.
I think they are generally our best like we're not including Fiends in this because I don't see Fiends as a scoring unit. They're a
No.
unit that can do it if you need them to. But as our scoring unit, so I see Beasts, Seekers, Flesh Hounds, Flamers, and Screamers as those scoring units.
Yeah.
I think they're the best ones by far, in my opinion. I know
Yeah.
you're a lover of Flamers, though, aren't you? But,
So I'll tell you what, because I have 3 squads of Fiends in my list, and I sometimes have to use Fiends for doing secondaries and screening and stuff,
yeah.
I don't see the value for Screamers as much. If I didn't have 3 squads of Fiends, then I would have Screamers.
I just think because you can do the same thing if you want to drop them. Like I was picking them up and dropping them down again to do the whole drop down, do locust thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. They've got the footprint to do it, but also they've got the speed, so they might not even need to do it. If you put them in the right spot, you can just fly them over.
Yeah.
I just think the 2
The
units.
5 and mortal wounds is really good.
Huh?
the fly over mortal wounds is really good as well.
It's not bad. I mean, it's only like a mortal on a 4+ saying that. I done it about 5 or 6 times on the weekend, and they never rolled. Well, if there was 3 of them, they never rolled less than 2.
Yeah.
And actually, saying that, I sent the bloodthirst. So I actually flew them over only because I was flying over, because you can still do your actions. I was flying over to do an action with them. I think it was Locust, and I could move over the Land Raider to do it. So I did it and kicked the Land Raider and took 2 wounds off it. And then the Bloodthirster went in, whiffed because he's a dickhead, left it on basically left. He only left it on a few wounds and killed it with relentless carnage.
Yeah.
But I think it was like I think he left it on 3 wounds and I rolled 4. Either way, it was like basically the screamers kicking it actually saved the Bloodthirster, like from me lobbing it out the window. I hate him so much, I really do. It's maybe it's just mine, but I hate him. But yes, like their mortals actually, every time I did it, it always had. It wasn't just like that unit just took a couple wins and that's all of it. Like it actually contributed over the game. Like every time I did it, I would hit it with something else, and it always helped. Actually, they're really nice in combo with Fiends, because I did that a few times when the Fiends targeted into something, and even if it's just enough to kill 1 Marine in a 5-man Marine unit, and then if your Fiends have a little bit of a poor turn, killing 4 Marines should still happen.
Yeah.
You would hope. So how do we want to do this? I think Screamer sit in A tier.
I think maybe they're both in A tier.
Yeah, to be honest, Flamers for dropping down, fine, and then Screamers for just being speedy. I think they've both got their place. I think they are generally the 2 best scoring units.
Just the amount of times people will sleep on Flamers and Screamers, and they look at the models and go, "Oh, that's probably like toughness 4, 2 wounds." No, they're 3 wounds.
Do you know how many people have gone, "Oh, what are they, toughness 3? No, toughness 4. Oh, okay, like 1, 2 wounds. No, 3 wounds. Oh, what's a save? 4+. Oh, what armor save? No, invuln." And they're like, "What?" It's like, "Oh, I can't just throw some shots into that. I actually have to dedicate to that." And it's like, "Yeah, you do."
Yeah.
And the amount of times that I've had a Screamer left or a Flamer left is quite funny.
So my main argument for Flamers over Screamers is just within my list, to be honest with you. Like
I get that.
alluded to, like, so I don't really have anything that deals with cheap infantry chaff and like hordes and things. And having 3 squads of Fiends plus the expensive monsters like Shalaxi, Bellic, or Scarbrand means that I really want those big things going into big targets. And so I don't really want to be using Bellicor shooting to clear up a squad of 10 cultists, for example. So the Flamers just give you that edge and they can do something like that. And also against armies like Unending Swarm, for example, for Nids, they're really good to drop down and go, "Oh, there's 10 of them dead, and then when you move, I'm going to kill another 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. So obviously the thing is, I still look at them because they were just so good in 9th with the 9th glasses.
Yeah.
So I just look at them and compare them, which is the wrong thing to do. And I think, they're fallen from grace. They are still decent. And like you said, like, to be honest, I done this thing of I compared them to warp spiders. It was probably the wrong thing to do. And I was like, the only difference between them and warp spiders damage-wise is the dev wounds. If they had dev wounds, you'd compare them. But like D6 Flamers shots at strength 4 -1/1 damage is actually not bad. Like AP Flamers with AP. And they do ignore cover, right? Flamers?
Yes, they do.
So that's good. And again, I just think it does come down to personal preference. The 9-inch movement compared to the 14-inch movement is what does it for me. Hence why but I mean, I do keep toying with dropping a unit in to replace the droppy Nurgling units. Because I don't really want to drop Screamer units if I don't have to, because I want them to dart around the midboard. But I think they're still good. I personally just prefer the speed, but I also get why you take them. And the thing is, they both have multi uses. So the Screamers you can use to kind of go in and like skirmish a bit, and if they hit, they can definitely do some like, and they can actually do work on a Marine unit. The Flamers can do work on like your Eldar, small Tau,
basically the most basic chaffy stuff.
Exactly.
If my list was dropping Shalaxi out for a regular keeper, it gave me 145 points. If it gave me 150, that's 2 screamy units just going in. But
Exactly.
unfortunately, only 145 means it has to be flesh hounds and screamers. But if I
But
could afford screamers, I would definitely put 2 screamers
you
in.
know, you know how funny that is because I do this, and I assume a lot of demon players do this.
Yeah.
It's screamers and flamers, or screamers and screamers, or flamers and flamers, or whatever, and then it's like, ah, shit, I'm 5 points over. Okay, I'll turn that one unit of whatever into flesh hounds,
Yeah.
and it's just really nice to do that. And I don't feel bad doing that because
Yeah.
I still like flesh hounds, but yeah,
As
it's
long as you look at the fundamental unit that you're getting, which is still a relatively cheap, pretty quick scoring
yeah,
unit that has a bit of output.
exactly. Like the only reason I think them two sit above the flesh hounds by a bit is because of the invuns.
100%.
They're just tougher, but flesh hounds are still good.
Yeah.
Burning Chariot, Far Cry for 9th edition.
Oh, God.
Fucking triple of them. I don't think D tier. I think because the thing is, right, they've got this really underrated ability where when they hit something, they make everything else that shoots at them ignore cover, which is really cool, except you realize that most of our shooting doesn't really care. But if you're taking a lot of Tzeentch stuff like Tzeentch Soul Grinders and some Lords of Change, then I think he might have a place.
Zine Soul Grinders, I wouldn't say so because they've got like a las cannon type attack anyway, so who cares if they ignore
All
cover?
right, okay, but maybe Slaanesh ones or maybe not core ones. There, I'm trying to make a case for them, and there's not much of a case there for them.
Yeah, like if you can give your other burning chariot signals cover, it's quite nice. I
Yeah,
do think C tier is about right. I was going to say actually just above the chariot, the Slaanesh chariot.
yeah, well,
Um, yeah, it they're in a tough spot because the ignores cover, unfortunately, like you say, doesn't benefit a lot of stuff.
no.
It benefits the Lord of Change, and that's about it.
I was seeing before the battle line tax came in for allies. I was seeing people take one or maybe two if they really wanted to take two of them in Chaos Knight lists
Mm.
to complement their brigands, which was quite a cool idea because
Yeah,
it's not they
it's
just
not
they,
Legions of Monica.
yeah, it's when they hit something, it's not that nothing things that shoot at them gain ignore cover. It's actually the unit can no longer gain the benefit of cover for the rest
Yeah,
of the round, the rest of the turn. Sorry, which is
yeah,
quite cool. But like we said, we just don't have enough things to benefit from it.
no.
And are you? I mean, okay, they might make skull cannons a bit better, but again, it's adding too many eggs into one basket. That's just not working.
Yeah, like AP skull cannons are only AP1 anyway. That's not enough AP for you to worry about cover saves.
Exactly. Okay, so we're now done with all the god stuff, and we're into the undivided. We've got the demon princes, which is so the winged prince was a corn winged prince with Argath was actually not bad,
Hmm.
except why the fuck would you ever take that over an Argath Thirster now?
Never.
Apart from points, but yeah, and like they're not bad as a little skirmish unit for the backfield for 180 points. You know, they can definitely beat up on some small stuff that gets back there. But again, why are you spending? Why are you risking bring it down points and then when you've got other better, bigger monsters?
Every single greater demon, point for point, is just far better.
Yeah, agreed.
Like it's not even slightly close either. I remember we used to talk back and forth towards the start of the edition when the Great Unclean one was too expensive points wise.
Yeah, we both had
Remember like endless
the
gift with a
footprints.
prince.
Yeah, the footprints with endless gift when the fat boy was what was he 280, 290 or something like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, there was an argument for footprints, and I know I remember trying to sell it to you, and you were like, oh, I can see it. Obviously. Oh, so I've just started a list clinic series. I think the first video has just gone up today, and where I'm getting people to send lists in, and it's to be fair, it's started really well. It's been quite popular, and one of the lists I got had it wasn't even a footprint, it was a winged prince with endless gift,
uh-huh.
and I purposely pulled out things out of his list just to turn that into the ground clean one because I was like, no,
Yeah,
I try not to make every list look the same, but that's just not happening. Why would you do that?
yeah.
So yeah, no, I it's really sad because I just
It's
feel like
unfortunate because you really like. I absolutely adore the new Demon Prince model. I
yeah,
have
it's
two of
really
them,
nice. It's really
and
nice.
one of them is still in the box and waiting to be like fully magnetized with all the bits. And
Mm.
I absolutely love the model. I just wish that it was cheaper in
I
points,
mean,
obviously.
if you play some of the other Chaos factions, then maybe you'll use it because
Yeah.
I mean the World Eater one is good, right?
The
It
World
gives
Eater
up.
one's good, yeah.
It
I
gives
think
up
one
what?
of
It
the
gives up
ones
invulnerable.
I end up using was the World Eater one.
Yeah, the World Eater one gives out. I don't know if is it the foot one. He gives out. Is it an
One
invuln?
invuln, yeah. He gives a 5-up out unless you've already got a
And then it
5-up.
becomes a 4+. So he sits around 8 bound. That's
He
nuts.
sits around 8 band to give him a 4-up, or he sits
Yeah.
around jackals to give him a 5-up. So like a whole army of jackals, all with a
I
5-up
know.
invuln.
It's nuts. I just feel like, why is it we always seem to have the worst demon princes? Though saying that, they are technically not like they are demons, but they're humans into demons or mortals into demons, right?
So
Um,
the impact of fiends now coming into the meta more means -1 to hit is more prevalent, and the less stuff you have in your army, the more you feel like -1 to hit is important, right? So I always feel like the stealth aura would help me in some instances.
and then you
However,
remember Bellator exists.
I remember Bellator exists, and I also remember how many points the bastards are,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, 190, 180 still isn't cheap enough.
No,
Yeah,
10-point reduction on each. Is that seriously all they got?
they just keep dropping them by like 10 points and going, oh, you can use them now. Like, no.
You
Why
need to
would
drop
I?
them by about 30 to make them even usable.
I agree. I think the wing print's at 150 and the other one at 160. I still don't think what the other one gets is worth being 10 points more than the other. Yes, a free up in one once per phase is nice, but it's only one phase per game. And the stealth aura is not better than making the other guy better in combat, in my opinion.
No, because again, like we've talked about, aside from the monsters, you need to be able to punch things.
Yeah, so I don't know why he's more expensive because I don't think he should be. Also, I just think they're not good. C tiers,
Um,
you're thinking D tier, aren't you?
no. I
No,
can't insult them that much. I reckon they both go next to each other with the winged one slightly better.
I agree.
And I would say they're above Sloppity and Poxbringer.
Yeah,
Just below Daemonettes, I would
I
say.
don't disagree. Like, I do think if you really, really want to run a Demon Prince, you could probably run one, and it would be okay. Like, it wouldn't be great, but if you
You
wanted
just
one to
have
be
to have the right support around it.
exactly, and actually, there was part of me in the early Pariah list building where I was thinking recover assets with a Demon Prince that drops in and pops a 3-up in one. If it gets a shooting army with reroll ones, he could then get it done. But then, do you really want to spend that many points on it? No, not 190 just to do that one trick.
Just do it with pink horrors.
Exactly, you actually are tougher.
Yeah.
Right, we're at the final unit. So this is a really weird one because for us, it would probably sit bottom of C because of big base. UKTC hates them. Though saying that the UKTC newer maps look a little bit better for them.
Yeah.
But the bases are still horrible because what's really annoying is what's the size of the aura bubble around a greater demon, Byron?
The aura bubble is 6 inches, and how much is the base?
Do you know how big the base is?
Like 100 mil or something.
It's bigger than that. It's six
Oh
point
no,
two.
sorry. Of
It's
course it's
six.
not 100 mil.
It's 6.2 inches.
My God.
So it cannot fit in the shadow bubble by zero point 0.2 of an inch. Which
It's a GW.
I
What are
know
you
is so
doing to us?
stupid. I don't know why we have to put that thing on a base because it makes it unusable. But I think if there was just a world where we didn't need bases for it, I actually really, really rate them, especially at 180. I think
Especially the Slaanesh one. Like, have you seen the Slaanesh shooting?
the first one is the best one in my
It's so
opinion.
good.
Yeah, the shooting is really good. It's what sustained 1 and dev wounds
Yeah.
and strength 9.
And
Good
it's 2 damage, right? As well?
uh, it might be. I am going to check that. I want to see that.
Yeah, let me have a look. Yeah, strength 9, AP 2, 2 damage, 6 shots, sustained 1 dev wounds. That's
Six.
solid.
Oh, I thought it was 9 shots. Still, 6 shots is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also you can get +1 AP in combat with the keeper support if you really want it. It could get sustained hits in combat with a Tormentbringer if you want it. It could get +1 the wound from the mask if you want it. and be -1 to wound.
And the
Um,
standard, it gets boosted movement, right? For just being Slaaneshi.
no, that's the Demon
Oh
Prince.
no, that's the
It just
demon.
gets the shooting attack. So it's still
Yeah.
got an 8-inch move. But T11, 3-up armor. It's actually got 3-up armor save, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And the 4-up invuln. And 14 wounds. So it still only gives up 2 and bring it down, which is really
Yeah.
nice. And also, I know it's not as good now, but it's the only thing that would give us tank shock. Because nothing else gives us tank shock. And I know now it's 11 dice, but still 11 dice on a 5-up will do mortals. It's not bad. And it's combat. What is it, like strength 16 with the claw?
Yeah, strength 16, and I think it's D6 damage.
Yeah, I think it's D6 plus 2 damage.
Let me have a look.
I know the sword or the sword or the fleshy claw is D6 damage. No, the fleshy claw is 2 damage.
16 AP3 damage D6 plus 2 with the claw. That's with 5 attacks.
Yep.
And then you've got the. Generally, you would take the warp sword, I guess, for the 3 attacks at D6 damage.
Strength 8, 2 D6 damage.
Yeah.
And then the other one is more attacks but 2 damage, right?
And only AP1.
And AP1. Yeah, you take the sword. You take the sword and the claw because they're both extra attacks, right?
And they look cooler.
And the sword looks cooler. So if you're going to take it, you take it probably Slaaneshi with sword and claw. There was an argument a while ago for a Tzeentch one, but strength 12 to strength 13 on the shots because of the Lord of Change. Is that worth it? Probably not. Also, D3 shots is swingy as hell.
Yeah.
Khorne, like it can get Renmaster buffs and +1 to hit from a Bloodthirster. I think that's also viable. Nurgle, like the shooting is shit because it was always hitting on a 4 anyway, so it's not got worse for being indirect. But you can get a 6-up for no paying for a fat boy in just a threat saturation list with loads of fat boys and 3 of them.
I think the Slaanesh is better just because it's
the damage is just
the,
a lot better.
The damage out of it is a lot better, and also it can get benefits from the mask if you need it to.
Exactly. So this is the weird one, the rank, because if we were to rank it, because we have to think about it, we have to most places over here. Have you been anywhere that's ruled that you don't need to be on a base? Because no. I've not. Every time I check with somewhere, it's like no, it needs a base. Always. But then in America, they don't need bases. Most places rule you don't need a base. And did WTC rule base or no base?
I think they do because I was
recently it was base
earlier about how stuff needs to be on bases. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they have to be on a base.
I mean, the benefit of the base is now the pivot thing. They never have to pivot or never have to pay to pivot, which is silly. But the base is just way too big. You can never drop it in with shadows. Well, you can if you have big shadows, but you can never drop it in with greater demon shadows because, it's just, don't know. I really like them, except they're just a bit impractical. That's the problem with them.
Yeah, I think talking, I guess, a bit briefly about the rumors going around with the codex. I think if there's going to be a unit that disappears, these are probably going to be one of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they will go. I think all the non-plastic characters will go as well. But that's a topic I want to save for our upcoming podcast that you and me and Luke will be on. Yeah. I think that'll be a really good thing to open up a topic about for us. So I don't want to go into that now, but yes, I agree with you. I think that is definitely one that will go bye-bye. Sadly. So I think
these guys probably just below the Tranceweaver.
Oh, in C tier. I was trying to think where is that. Oh, see, I feel bad doing that because I just think that that's really harsh on them. I know we're looking at it from our point of view.
Okay, maybe above the Demon Princes then.
I still think that's really bad.
You reckon?
Yeah, but look, I know we're looking at it from our point of view, and I'm trying to think because, okay, we'll put it there for now, but
let's go bottom of B then.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think because places that don't need bases, I think they can rank them close to A, but us can rank them in C because of the bases. So I think putting them there in the middle, right at the bottom of B, and we'll make it very clear the only reason we're doing that is because of the base thing.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Obviously, if you get Natural Shadow, happy days.
Yeah, if you get Natural Shadow, they're brilliant because they can drop wherever they want. Well, until you realise the gap in between the two bits of terrain is not 6 inches. And then they're fucked. But
yeah.
Yeah. So, is there anything we want to rejig looking back at it? I don't think so. Anything you
I
can
think
see?
maybe bloodletters are a bit too low.
Bloodlet. Yeah. Do you know what? I think I agree.
We've been harsh on them.
Yeah, I agree.
Just below the Scrivener is about right, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. I think two attacks still hurt them. And yes, you can take Scarbrand, but their two attacks is just a bit shitty on them. If they were 100 points, I think they'd be in a lot better spot.
I just
Um,
don't think anything besides the Skullmaster that's Corn deserves to go in C tier. There's like it should all be B tier and above just because of how good it is because of the Renmaster.
yeah, honestly, I think if you were to sit there and if you would say pick a mono god that could potentially win or go 5-0 at a big super major, I would say a very corn heavy list or corn mono list is probably outright the one that could do it.
Yeah.
Though I do think Nurgle also can. I think Nurgle is slept on a bit. Um, I think there might be an argument for a Slaaneshi list in the right hands
Just because Fiend's got so much better.
because Fiends and obviously Shadow Bubbles being more prevalent
Fiend's
now.
Shalaxi Keeper being all A
And
tier, I
yeah,
think when you have that as your list and you build the rest of it around it,
yeah.
there's a strong argument.
Do you know what's really annoying is I have been fighting with the idea of this for a Slaaneshi themed list for so long. And when I saw Fiends go down, the ideas popped up again when the shadow bubbles became a thing. And now you've just said Shalaxi, Keeper, and Fiends, and now I really want to fucking try Shalaxi, a Keeper, and 9 Fiends. And the Mask.
All of the sexy half tit, half pecs.
Oh, what do you mean? Have you seen my Synergy stuff? Well, I don't know. My Fiends are normal Fiends, so they've got half tit, half peck. But my
Yeah.
my Shalaxi does not have a peck. He's
Okay.
just. um, but yeah, no, I think so overall, looking at the faction overall, I think we're in a fairly good spot. I we have a lot of people saying, "Oh, we're like a lot better than we were," and I don't want to say like so. Say before, if we had to rank us, I think we were like mid B tier, whereas now I think we're upper B tier.
Mm.
In the hands of people like, without sounding arrogant, in the hands of people like you or me or Luke, like top players in the UK or other people in America, I think we can definitely get like top A's and not top A's, like A tier level from it. And obviously, you did really well last weekend. I expect Luke will do well at the Sheffield Super Major next weekend. I might do a usual 3-0 day one, 0-2 next weekend because I'm very good at doing that.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Mm.
But what do you think overall about the faction? Where do you think we sit?
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I think, like you say, in the hands of upper tier players. And yeah, to caveat this, by the way, guys, myself, Franco, and Luke are currently the top three ranked in UKTC for Chaos Demons this season.
We
So
are.
yeah, there's a reason that we talk with a bit of chest about these kind of things. Um, but yeah, I think the faction is in a good place, and I don't know about you. I didn't feel like we needed the Greater Demon buffs massively. But what they've done is, in my opinion, encourage Monogod a bit more and encourage certain other units a bit
So
more.
I get where you're coming from by saying that. I will disagree for what you just said there. I think there was no real incentive apart from wanting to have a theme to test yourself with Mono God. Whereas now I feel like there is a reason for Mono God. Um, if the rumors, without briefly touching on it, if those rumors are true that there is no codex, then it means unless they give us a Mono God detachment in the God specific Legion books, we aren't going to see anything Mono God. So it's the best we're going to get.
Mm.
But that's something we touch on later on.
Yeah.
I think to shake it up because I found it very stale. Like unlike a lot of players, I know you're the same as me. I don't play anything else. I don't shake it up by playing something else. I just play demons. I know you have Tau, but I've yet to see you not play demons at every event we've ever gone to together. Um, so that felt like a nice shake up just because it was like you can kind of change the way you play now a little bit because of that. And again, you're
Not
incentivized.
having, I know what you mean, like not
Yeah,
having to play exactly the same stuff all the time.
yeah, and you're incentivized to take maybe tech into more god specific stuff. And I think whereas before, like a nice picking of everything was a good way to do it. I feel like now every time I build a list, I find myself wanting to like pick a god and like focus a lot on that, and then maybe just pick elements. Like I think Nurgle has been a big thing for me. Slaanesh, I'm looking at a lot of Slaanesh.
Yeah.
I think Khorne is going to be the way. Like a lot of people take a lot into Khorne. I don't want to do that. But I think Slaanesh definitely, and Nurgle was a big one for me. It is really sad that I'm saying all this and not mentioning Tzeentch.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. But I think the only things in Tzeentch where I've taken right now were Pink Horrors, Fluxmasters, and maybe an Everstave Chicken. Oh
Yeah.
no, what an idiot! Screamers and Flamers are literally two of the best units we have. So actually, Tzeentch actually probably has some of the best scoring units. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. You are probably going to take a fair few bits like Screamers and Flamers, but you're not going to be taking into them for like, wait, you're taking Fiends for damage, you're taking Shalaxi, you're taking Crushers and Bloodletters and Thirsters, Ground Clean Ones and Plague Bearers. Like, you're like, I'll add 2 units of Screamers, or I'll add two units of Screamers and a unit of Flamers or something like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe 1 unit of Pink Horrors.
When the balanced data slate dropped and I basically started making mono lists, I made a mono list for each god on my phone. And
I think
the
we've all sat there and made mono god lists when
yeah,
new stuff.
but when I did the Tzeentch one, I was looking at it going, right, I'm basically gonna do Be'lakor is the only non-Tzeentch thing. I just looked across it all and went, I have no damage here. I've got
Right, no, it's really but so I done the same thing. I do it. I probably make a mono god list once every month for each god. And when I did the Tzeentch one more recently, it was Be'lakor, Stave Chicken, Fate Weaver went in there, both lone ops, and then it was a bunch of Pink Horrors and some Fluxmasters. Oh, and then it was just Screamers and Flamers.
yeah.
And I never felt good about it. I was like, I can score and maybe not die. I am killing fuck all. Like I
You're
am
gonna
doing.
have really boring games
No,
with that.
yeah, exactly. It's like it's as simple as this. There is not a more of a epitome of can I roll 4-ups than that list. That is all that list is. It's even more than custodies. It's like, can I roll 4-up in buns? No, I lose. Yes,
And it's so
I,
upsetting to see it be able to do less damage than Nurgle.
I know,
Not
and that's
even slightly. Like
that's
it's
really sad because
Nurgle does a lot more damage.
Nurgle. I had this conversation with someone a few weeks ago when we were talking about my Nurgle list. They were like, "Oh, do you struggle with damage?" I'm like, "I no, like I struggle with trying to just absolutely smash out loads of damage in one go, but I will kill stuff over the course of the game
Yeah.
easy because again, it's attrition with Nurgle. It's we will sit in combat for a while, and I will consistently do damage to you. Can you kill me before that?"
But the issue with Tzeentch stuff is the fact that that's also kind of feels like attrition now. If you go mono Tzeentch,
Yes, I
it's just
agree.
worse at it than Nurgle.
Exactly, because I mean, apart from screamers, nothing else can really dabble about in combat.
No.
Um,
And even they hit on fours.
yeah, and even they hit on 4. So if you just have a typical 4-up roll where you just don't roll anything, they do nothing. But then if
Yeah.
you also roll good, they will kill stuff.
Mm.
Like I've had a unit of 3 of them hit once with 9 attacks. I've also had a unit of 3 of them hit 8 or 9 times out of 9. So 4-ups do 4-up things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think for the outright damage and the easiest way to play it, I think Khorne is probably the best way to go for that straight up damage. I feel like if you play the missions and you like your toughness, like I do, Nurgle obviously is very good at it. Slaanesh adds a lot of speed and like run around, punch, run kind of damage. Fiends are the only mid-sized unit apart from Bloodcrushers, but again, they can go through walls. That can kind of mess about with those mid-tier units. And then obviously Tzeentch goes down the bottom. But at the same time, Tzeentch definitely has a couple of the best scoring units with Flamers and Screamers. So there is a reason to take units from all gods. I
Yeah.
think. I think you could easily take everything from a bit of everything. I actually find when I'm building my mix list, the least amount I'm taking is Khorne because I'm taking some flesh hounds.
Mm.
I feel like you've got to really tech into the Khorne stuff
Yeah.
unless you take a Bloodthirster or Scarbrand. But
Yeah, we kind of touched on it, and it's basically for me all on the Renmaster. And if you have a Renmaster, you naturally tech to Morcon.
yeah, you take more Khorne.
Otherwise, you're not going to tech Morcon.
No, exactly. So there's definitely a lot of interesting ways to build demon lists right now, and I think it's very hard to see the same list. Like you could, there's definitely a template there, but there's enough variation that I think player preference and play style comes into it. Like there was 4 demon lists there on last weekend, and all
Yes.
of our lists were different, which was
Yeah.
really cool to see. Except they all had Fat Boy in it, but of course they all have Fat Boy in it because
There's a reason he's top of S tier.
yeah, there's a reason he is, in our opinion, the best unit. we have. So I think we should probably call it there because we've been doing this for over 3 hours. I am tempted to maybe split this in 2 parts just to make it easier to watch.
Uh,
I might split it at where I asked you about splitting it, but I've really enjoyed this. It's been really good to talk about this,
yeah.
and hopefully it opens eyes and gives people a bit of an outlook on different things and helps you when you're building your lists. Like Byron said, without it coming across, you can't say this kind of thing without it coming across arrogant. So it is what it is. But me and Byron are two of the best demon players in the UK, and by denote, some of the top ones in the world. But because we've both been playing this game a long time, we've both been playing this faction a long time. It comes down to the fact that it's either you play this faction long enough and you're just still not good, or you become really good at it. It's as simple as that. So hopefully we can give some of that knowledge out to everyone else. And yeah, any last words from you?
I guess just everyone who's looking at demons right now and making loads of army lists with mono god, go ahead, enjoy what you're doing, basically,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
now's the time that you can maximize competitive play alongside running all the units you want to run. So
Definitely.
I think the faction's in that really good place right now.
Yeah.
So
I, I
enjoy
think
it.
we're not in a spot where we're over the top,
No.
but we're in a spot where I feel like you could run most things and get something out of it
Yeah.
generally, which is really good. And there is a list there for everyone, I feel, which is good. So, right, I am going to draw this to a close because it is like what time is it over here? It's
11:15.
after 11 o'clock. Awesome. Cool. So, thank you for tuning in. Please check out the Facebook, Instagram, and the Discord. I will put links down below. That's where you can keep up with all the channel stuff as well as my own tournament stuff and all that kind of jazz. Is there you haven't really got anywhere for people to check you out online?
No, I've only got my personal pages, which I don't really want
No,
to plug. So
no, we're not going to tell everyone to go friend Byron on Facebook. But if you see, I can't speak for Byron, but if you ever see me at events, I am not horrible. Come and say hello. I love talking demons. Byron is also very friendly. So,
oh yeah, 100% same for me. If you want to talk about demons, let's do it.
exactly. And then if we're at the same event, no doubt you'll find us together because we always end up converging together and just talking.
We demon players stick together.
Yeah, we got to, right? So thank you for tuning in. Check out all of that stuff. Please leave a like and subscribe. It's massively helpful. Like I said, end of year goal was 500 and we've achieved 400 in just under 3 months. So we're about to smash that goal, hopefully. It doesn't take a lot to do it. It's free and it's really appreciated. And it lets us continue doing all this stuff. And you can find me, Byron, and Mr. Luke doing the new True Demon Lord podcast where we're going to be talking about all things demons and just having a laugh, right? Especially with Luke on, I feel like the banter we can branch off each other is going to be good, especially when Luke tries to take the piss out of me because that's what he loves doing.
Yeah.
So I am going to call this at the end now. So thank you for tuning in.